Finland will shut border to Russian tourists from midnight.
Here's a summary of the article.
Helsinki, September 29. Finland said on Thursday it would close its border to Russian tourists at midnight, shutting off the last remaining direct land route to the European Union for them as thousands of Russians seek to avoid conscription into the war in Ukraine. The entry of Russian citizens in tourist purposes into Finland endangers Finland's international relations, Foreign Minister Pekka Haavisto told a news conference, explaining that the decision had followed talks with Ukraine and neighbors. With the decision, the Finnish government, wary of being a transit nation into Western Europe's passport-free Schengen zone, joined the other EU member countries sharing land borders with Russia which had already barred Russian tourists. Estonia, which like other Baltic states and Poland argued that Russian tourists posed a national security threat, had expressed frustration that Finland had not joined them. Young Russian men who spoke to Reuters after crossing into Finland last week said they left out of fear of being drafted. The almost 17,000 Russians who crossed the border into Finland during the weekend represent an 80% rise from a week earlier, Finnish authorities said on Monday. We have indications that the Russian authorities have changed their policy, head of the border controls Tuomas Lausmaa said, adding the number of young Russian men coming through had dropped on Wednesday.
This post received a score of 13,000, with an upvote ratio of 98%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
How many of those Russians who came through the border supported the Ukraine invasion? And now that Putin started this conscription, I bet some of those Russians started running away to neighboring countries.
No need to bet, just check the news.
Step 1. Declare war on a neighboring country under the pretense of protecting Russian speakers. Step 2. Organize a fake referendum to annex captured territories. Step 3. Cause native Russians to flee to neighboring countries. Step 4. See Step 1.
Right, you also can't hold a referendum in another country. If that was the case, Zelensky may as well hold a referendum in Moscow saying that the Russian capital now wants to join Ukraine.
I really wish he would, just to troll Russia.
The Dutch comedian Arjen Lubach did.
Finland is a country I respect very much, but they should have done this shit back in March.
It was irrelevant, in practice anyways, in March cause COVID restrictions prevented most travel. Should have done it in July when those ended though. Other Schengen countries should make up their minds too.
Next they'll try to cross into Canada via the North Pole.
Don't give them any ideas.
Hi there, from Northern Canada. We're not really worried about that because a lot of our citizens are slowly getting pretty angry with nowhere to put it, and we aren't as advanced as some slick advertiser would have you believe. Many of these small towns are still thinking like it's 1972 and the Summit Series is about to be on. What that basically means is we have a large pool of people ready to give what for in any direction, and if you give them something to concentrate on, I can guarantee we're going to set aside out tiny differences about gardening disputes or strata fees and make sure it's not easy come easy go to Canadian independence. I can still walk my dogs down the road and make friends with just about anyone I meet if they are pleasant, but the convoys showed us that people are mad about something. I wouldn't want that pointed at me.
The convoy people would be leopard-eating faces. Russian-sponsored digital disinformation campaigns are what is making them angry.
Finland already got some 17,000 Russians coming in recently, so it's about time.
Yes, but also hard for some people when we know many Russians kept quiet while Russia was committing war crimes in Ukraine. Now Russians seem to be fully against the war and tyranny, but we know it's because these things are directly affecting them.
Also, let's not forget they have some decent protests at the start of the war. They were swiftly stomped out. Everyone in Reddit acts like they'd be on the front line if shit like this happened in their countries. And even if they stood by their word, it's not hard to understand why Russians feel helpless. Fuck this anti-Russian sentiment on here.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.